friends. Welcome to Joy in the Journey, where we help you find joy in every day. My name is Summer, and I truly believe that you can live every day, every season, in joy and abundance through Jesus Christ. You've already taken the first step by watching this Bible study video. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Summer Neal for daily uplift and inspiration. But for now, let's dive right into Bible study. Hi friends, we are continuing our journey through Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. And guys, this is our next to last lesson. We only have one more lesson this month, and I have really enjoyed diving into this scripture and learning more about really what it means to have peace and trust in God. And in our last lesson, we talked a little bit about Joshua and how he had to trust God. If he was going to defeat the city of Jericho, if he was going to make those walls, or if God was going to make those walls fall down, Joshua had to have trust in God. When God told Joshua to march around the walls of Jericho, the first thing God said was, "See, I've given you the city." And nothing had actually happened yet. But Joshua trusted in the promise that God made him. And he followed the actions that God gave him. And I touched on this a little bit in our last lesson, and I just want to reiterate this today, that can you imagine how many soldiers in that army thought Joshua was out of his mind? How many of them probably just looked at him like he was just absolutely crazy? You want us to walk around these walls, first of all, for 6 days completely silent, and on the seventh day, you want us to walk around these walls 7 times. And then on the last time, you want us to yell with the war cry. And you think that's going to make the walls fall down? I mean, logically, it doesn't make any sense. Like, marching around a wall doesn't make walls fall. I mean, logically, physically, that's not how that works. But Joshua trusted in God, and he had so much trust in the Lord and in the promise that God had given him that it didn't matter what those people thought. It didn't matter what they said. And in our lives today, when God gives us a promise and tells us to do something to gain that promise, because y'all, those walls, they were standing until Joshua followed the commandment that God had given him. Till Joshua did what God told him to do, those walls were going to stand. And if we want to receive the promises that God has given us, we have got to do the things that God has told us to do. That is not to say God can't do it without us, because he certainly can. He's God. He's all powerful. In our walk with God, we've got to trust him so much that it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter what other people think. They can think we're crazy. That's fine. I'm not in this for them. My relationship with the Lord is exactly that. It's my relationship with God, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anyone else or anyone else's actions. Everybody in the world can do what they want. That has nothing to do with whether or not I am going to trust in God. And I wanted to go over a couple of scriptures today, because there is a lot of things that we gain by trusting God. If we will trust, then we will receive XYZ. And I'm going to share with you some scriptures that I hope will encourage you, and some things that we receive when we have trust in the Lord. And there's a few scriptures I'm just going to list, but this first one, I want to read it to you. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Now, isn't that exactly what Joshua did? He trusted in the Lord and he did not lean on his own understanding. Because if he'd leaned on his own understanding, he would have thought what God told him to do was completely ludicrous. But he trusted God and he didn't lean on his own understanding. And that scripture goes on in the next verse to say, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct thy path. You know, trusting in God gives us so much direction. And this is what happens when we trust. Psalm 22:4-5. If we trust, then we have deliverance. Psalm 32:10. If we trust, then we have mercy. Psalm 33:21. If we trust, then we will rejoice. Psalm 56:11 and Isaiah 12:2. If we trust, we will have no fear. Isaiah 26:4. If we trust, then we will have strength. Jeremiah 17:7. If we trust, then we will be blessed. Isaiah 26:3. If we trust, we will have perfect peace. Trusting in God means believing that what he says is true. And we've got to make sure that we are not leaning on our own mind, on our own logical thinking, because friends, God is supernatural. He does not work in the realm of our worldly physics and, you know, all the things that we know to be true physically in this world. God is supernatural. And so many of the things he tells us to do in the natural cause things to happen in the supernatural, if we will only trust in him.